Hi there. Welcome to the Chosen Business Owners Podcast. My name is Michelle Reel, and I'll be your host today. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Jeff Domenick. He is the CEO of KeyServe Company. And so welcome to the show, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for being here today. So I am really excited to talk with you today because you have a super interesting background. And so if you just want to share with us initially how you got started in your business journey, how you got started with KeyServe, and then kind of give us a background of what KeyServe does and what your company is all about.
So I've been, around the green industry, scary enough for over 30 years. And I feel like I've touched, just about every aspect, like a lot of kids. I was mowing neighbors' grass, family, taking on small landscape projects, through high school, mowed grass in a cemetery, the Molly Pitcher Cemetery, for $3.85 an hour, back in the late 80s, and decided I wanted to make a career out of the industry. So I got a degree in landscape architecture from West Virginia University, and found out pretty quick that I really wasn't a great designer, right? It wasn't that wasn't really where I wanted to focus my time, but I really enjoyed the design build side of the industry. I had a lot of experience at that point through some internships with high-end residential design build. And I graduated from college. I was kind of a late bloomer in 2000, and the economy was really good. Landscape architects were in demand. I had the opportunity to kind of interview, across the country. And I found myself with an opportunity in Hilton Head, South Carolina, for working for Sun City Hilton Head, which was a Del Webb community. And it was, when Del Webb was Del Webb before they were acquired by Pulte Homes, and they were looking for somebody to work in their landscape design studio, work with homeowners who were building houses. They had a really unique model. I mean, they built kind of a semi-custom home, and their motto was, we don't build houses, we build communities, and the landscape was always a really big part of that. And not just residentially, but I got the longer I was there, I got to spend time in the public spaces, and really what they called the marketing trail, from the time you saw the community, through the gates, to the model home park, to the golf courses. I was able to, really participate in the development, a lot of that. And that was a lot of fun. I spent a few years there, and had an opportunity to go work with the Brickman Group, which is now, part of the Brightview organization. So I moved from Hilton Head, South Carolina to Atlanta, and spent a few years at the Brickman Group. And that's, to me, I mean, those guys were really good at the financial side of the business. Like it was mostly commercial, maintenance and construction. They were just really good at, counting the beans, so to speak. So I really learned, how to run a P&L, how to, run a profitable landscape business there. From there, I took an opportunity with a local high-end design build firm in Atlanta, spent a few years there, and then slowly migrated away from the construction and development side, because I kind of got to a point where, I probably need to go do this for myself, or I need to, find something else to do. And I didn't quite have the courage at the time, to start my own company, mostly because I wasn't sure if Atlanta was where I wanted home to be. Right.
Mm.
I was newly married, didn't have kids. My wife was from Savannah, and, we really enjoyed the coast. So I took a job with NDS Drainage Products. They're a manufacturing company, started out as a territory sales manager, and then a district sales manager, and doing some specification work. And then, 2008 came along, and I just remember we were on a mandatory furlough between Christmas and New Year's. So they kind of forced you to take your vacation time. Uh, and I got a call from then the VP of Sales, Mike Fallon, which was kind of unusual. I didn't report to him, and he was kind of talking, and I was like, "So Mike, what am I losing my job, or because I knew things were tough." He's like, "Oh, no, no, no. We just need you to take over the Eastern US, Eastern Canada, and we can't pay you any more money." Right. So I said, "Okay." I said, "I'm in." Right. And so I hung the phone up, and told my wife, what was going on, and really just got to work. I had to fly down to Miami and get a passport because I had to be in Canada in January. And so NDS is really where I kind of grew up. They had a great leadership team. First time I had worked for a PE-backed company. Graham Partners was our private equity sponsor there. NDS had, terrific leadership, and they really invested in us. And we had coaches, and we did a lot of behavioral style, disc training, SDS, and a lot of things that really helped me kind of uncover my blind spots, and my strengths. And so it was great. I spent almost 10 years there. And then an opportunity with then John Deere Landscapes came up. It was shortly after CD&R had acquired the majority of SiteOne, and they were looking for somebody to run their landscape supply and hardscape business. So it was a great opportunity. After talking to the executive team there during the interview process, I really saw that as this is going to be a pivotal point in our industry. Highly fragmented, relatively unsophisticated. I mean, John Deere Landscapes at the time was about $1 billion in revenue, and really, an unsophisticated company in a lot of ways. And so I got excited about that, and moved the family at this point from Florida to Roswell, Georgia, where their corporate headquarters were, and spent 2 years, helping them craft the strategy for landscape supply and hardscapes. Did a lot of strategy work, and gross margin improvement projects, et cetera. And then had an opportunity to go out and run a P&L for them in the Mountain West business. So again, I now have 2 children, and my wife. I had promised to get them back to the coast at some point. I never said which coast. We packed our bags and headed out to Seattle, Washington, and spent 5 years at SiteOne, which was just a great opportunity, and really where I got this. I found this passion for working with entrepreneurial, family-run companies. That's what we were doing out there. We in the 5 years I was there, we did 11 deals. Took a region that was about $135 million and about 3.5% return on sales, and we took it to about 400 million and a little over 11.5% return. And and a lot of that was strong organic growth, but a lot of it was the deals we did, and we did some great deals. And I got to work with and partner with some great people, and I just it was really exciting for me to be a part of that. So kind of fast forward, I COVID hit. We're way on the West Coast. Our parents and our family are on the East Coast. They were getting older. And I just said, look, I think it's time for us to get back to Florida where we wanted to be. And so we made that transition. And, at the time, the Site One leadership were like, look, just, move back, go do what you got to do, continue to run, the West Coast. We'll figure this out. So at that point, I'm now traveling back and forth every other week, which, as you can imagine, really kind of wore on you. And, I decided that I was ready to, kind of take that entrepreneurial lead and started, thinking about what it is I wanted to do. And it ranged everything from, flipping houses to, I mean, you name it, it's on a notebook, in terms of what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I kept coming back to the residential landscape services space and what I learned at Site One in terms of, really, really fragmented. I mean, way more fragmented in the landscape distribution space. And that's really fragmented. Fairly, unsophisticated, family run companies. And I was like, geez, maybe we can, do a roll up strategy in this space. And so at the time, there was a lot of guys or a lot of companies that were rolling up, uh, commercial landscape companies, larger, most PE, they like to start with, 5 million or so in EBITDA. They want to buy a company that's already got an executive team in place, has all that infrastructure. And if you look at the top 100 list, I mean, it's a pretty short list, So I started working with an executive recruiting firm, and they paired guys like me with private equity. And I was just amazed how much interest there was in the space. And, at the time, there really weren't a lot of, thoughts around residential landscape design, build, and maintenance. And so, I thought that, we needed to put together a strategy that was, primarily residential with some exposure to commercial and municipal work, with a good mix of both recurring services and installation. So that's the strategy I put together and pitched. And I found a great partner in Kidd and Company. They're a family office, founded by Bill Kidd back in the 70s. And just got a really good connection with them. They had a lot of experience starting small, acquiring multiple companies, to kind of create the platform. And I knew that's what we were going to need to do. So we came to terms, we got to work, and we closed our first 3 deals on December 31st, 2021. And we were off and running, January of 22. And, we didn't have any software. I mean, we didn't even have bank account. Like, we were, it was really 3 different businesses we were running. And so, we had the opportunity to, to build out a leadership team, and I brought on a really great VP of finance, and we've since added to that with, some folks that I've worked with in the past, and some folks I haven't worked with in the past, and we're really building, what I think is a great company that will allow a lot of industry people to achieve their, personal, professional, and financial goals. And that's really what we talk about. And I think when you talk to some of these sellers that we've worked with, when you say, why do you want to sell? The answer that I like to hear is, hey, I just don't think I can, give the people on my team, the growth that they want, and I'm afraid of losing them. And coming out of COVID and how tight labor was, and, it really resonated with me. And so, we've done 3 additional deals since then. We're right around 40 million in annualized revenue today and growing. We have a nice pipeline of acquisitions. We're focused primarily in the southeastern U.S., 4 locations in North Carolina, 2 in Alabama, 1 in Florida. And yeah, I mean, that's the short history.
I really like that. And it's an interesting concept that you have, because you didn't have your own landscape company, correct? You just started acquiring so it wasn't like you had one that you were running. You just started acquiring companies that were already running, correct?
Exactly. I mean, really what I pitched was, hey, look, we have a strategy to build, a strong leadership team. I know how to integrate companies. I understand how to do deals in the lower middle market. And that was really appealing to, the PE groups. And so that's where we are. And we've been having a lot of fun since. And the companies we buy, the sellers stay on. They continue to be minority owners, not just in their business, but in all of KeyServe. So, they take some they take some chips off the table on the original deal, and then we offer them a second bite at the apple, in the hopes of a future liquidity event.
Yeah. So then, what are you doing? Because you said a lot of these companies that you purchase, they're mom and pop. They're not real sophisticated. What would you say some of the things are that you're giving to them aside from, I know you're giving them a leadership team, but what other things are you giving to them to help them, be more sophisticated? You just using your word, more sophisticated, and maybe explain what that maybe means, what that means.
Yeah, well, so a lot of these guys, they've built amazing companies,
Mhm.
really profitable,
Yep.
long tenured employees. They've got, really good, trusted number twos, number threes, number four. They've got this, core group. We've got folks who, their labor has been with them over 20 years. And so, we're buying really good companies, and, they're all run a little bit differently. Most of them, the only software they're using is QuickBooks, right?
Mhm.
And then they got a lot of complicated worksheets that they're doing in Excel. Some of them are using, you know, different different technology. One of the first companies we bought in Mooresville, North Carolina, was Dalla Casa, and Peter Costatelli and Tony D'Alessandro. So Tony's the Dalla and Peter's the Casa, which, funny enough, means from the home in Italian. But they actually had quite a bit of technology in their company, and they had a really good um, a really good understanding of how you could make improvements in your business through technology. So we've used the technology that they're doing. We've implemented that in the companies we've acquired. But never have I heard from anybody in the landscape industry when I say, "Hey, what's your favorite part of what you do?" I've never heard them say finance or HR, right? Never have I heard that. And so that's a big part. We take finance off their plate. We take the human resources component off their plate, and we've centralized that. Um, we help them manage their capital planning and their capital expense planning. We help them, think about, replacing themselves.
Mhm.
And so that they can, take a step back from the day to day, because honestly, they're more valuable to us
Mhm.
if they're looking at the business, differently than if they're looking at it, from within the business. And so,
Right.
uh, all of the sellers um, have really taken on different roles. Tony, for example, he's completely exited any of the day to day he had at Dalla Casa, and he's actually, because of his technology background, he's running technology and integrations for us company wide. So that's great. Peter in Florida has taken on a role where we bought three other companies there, so he's helping to lead that. You know, bring consistency across those, and then Quality Creative in Alabama. There were actually four owners in that business. Two of the owners, they had taken a long run. They really weren't in the day to day business when we acquired them, and the two remaining owners, Stuart Trowbridge is the principal now that runs our Alabama market. He's been terrific, and Brandon runs their high end design build and pools. And then, same in Florida, Peter Black, we've been able to, get him to step away from, the day-to-day operational side of the business, elevate, some strong leaders. And so everybody's kind of taken a step up in terms of, being able to work on the things that they really want to work on and that they really get supercharged by versus, having to deal with, payroll and, recruiting and those sorts of things.
Right. And then you said that you guys are mainly focusing on residential. You're not, I think, I don't know if you said it here while we were recording the podcast or if you and I had talked about it earlier, but you're about 30% commercial, you were saying. So in going with that residential side of things, is there things that you guys are offering them to help them with, acquiring customers and retaining customers, or did they kind of already have that figured out? And how are you helping them take that to the next level? Because you were saying some of them feel like they're kind of plateaued. And
yeah, I mean, it's kind of a good news. It's a good news, bad news story. I would say demand far outweighs supply in terms of quality residential landscape services companies. I mean, it's not just landscape, it's any trade. So think about it. We've all had work done at our house. You put 4 calls out there, and the person who answers their phone, shows up and gives you an estimate, in most cases is going to get the job, right? Because they answered the phone, they showed up, and they gave you the estimate. And so, one of the things, and we're using a lot of technology to do that, is we're trying to give our customers, a really high touch experience. So, things like sending text messages in advance of turf care applications to let them know, hey, we're going to be on your property in a day. Make sure your pets are inside, et cetera, et cetera. And customers really want that. I mean, I think one of the things that's really interesting to us, in the customer satisfaction surveys we do, is our customers actually want a relationship with their landscape contractor. And so think about all the services that you have on your house. I know you guys own a tree company, but we show up, depending on the part of the country, anywhere from 42 to 46 times a year on your property. I mean, outside of a cleaning person, I don't know, what other service you have. Maybe the Amazon delivery guy, right? That's shown up on your property, that regular. And so what we're really focused on now is, we want to kind of manage everything from the doors out for our customers. We don't want our customers to be the general contractor of their landscape.
Right.
So we want to maintain their property. We want to take care of their turf. We want to deal with their pest control. We want to take care of their upgrades and enhancements. If they want to do a major renovation, we want to be the go-to resource for that. Coincidentally enough, almost 70% of our revenue this year on the construction side has actually come from our current maintenance customers. So, we currently have waiting lists for maintenance customers, and we open them up periodically throughout the year. So if we say, hey, we want to open up, and start a new maintenance crew, we go acquire the equipment, we train the crews, we get everything ready, and then we just, call the folks on our waiting list and say, okay, we've got, capacity, and then we can build our routes based on, where we want to build density. And so it really has, we've really just shown them a different way, to think about their business and how to grow and how to, you can grow, quite significantly. I mean, double digits every year without really having to bring on new customers, right? Our customers, they have a lot of needs, and the outdoor living trend and people spending and investing in their property, it's not slowing down. I mean, I know COVID, kind of jump started that, but even well before COVID, coming out of the 08, 09 downturn, that outdoor living trend is there. So, it's not just kitchens and bathrooms that they're spending money on. It's, outdoor fireplaces and fire pits and swimming pools. And, the landscape contractor is a really key part of that.
Yeah. And then are you subbing out some of the stuff like you were saying, tree work? You're not really touching a whole lot of that. So then do you find contractors that you sub with for things that you guys maybe don't handle in-house?
Yeah, we actually just did that. We self-perform about 87% of our work.
Okay.
And we sub tree work. We sub some irrigation service in peak season when, our guys and girls can't get to it. We might sub, sod installations if we've got, big sod areas that it's just more efficient to have a subcontractor do that. But for the most part, we're self-performing the large majority of our work. And that's what our customers have become quite accustomed to.
Right. And so then do you keep, I know you said that your typical customer, you're on their property 40 sometimes a year, but outside of scheduling that, are there things that you're doing with those customers to kind of keep in the forefront? I mean, you kind of don't need to, if you're at someone's house 40 times a year, they know who you are. They're not going to forget who you are, but are you running promotions or letting them know like, hey, we've got a new service we're offering, that kind of a thing? Or
Yeah, again, we're using technology to make sure that, when it's time to mulch, that we're getting that. We don't want our customers to call us and say, "Hey, we want mulch." We want to get to our customers before they need you, because then we have time to schedule it. If somebody says, "Oh man, we're having a party and we need to get mulch," now that's an urgent,
right.
thing that we've got to deal with, which can sometimes be hard from a scheduling perspective. So our our goal is to get to them and let them know what they need before they have to ask us to do that.
Right. So, okay, so this is such a great concept and I love what you guys are doing. You had mentioned earlier to me, so the companies that you're acquiring are keeping their name in their area. They're not all going under the KeyServe name.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, the companies we're buying, they have strong brands, and good brand recognition. And look, I went through a rebranding process at Site One. Rebranding is really, really expensive, right? So, Site One had to rebrand because, John Deere, said, hey, you can use it for a little bit, but we don't have that. We don't have that issue.
Yeah.
I think it means a lot to the associates too, because everybody's watched those 90s movies where, private equity comes in and they, destroy a company and they fire. And that's not real. I mean, that's not our goal, right?
Okay.
Our most valuable asset are our associates. And so we don't want them to lose their identity. We slowly introduce, some co-branding. So, they'll always have their brand on their chest, and you might see like a KeyServe emblem or something like that on their sleeve, but it's kind of it's just kind of there because the culture we're trying to build is look, we have good cultures within our individual locations, but we're part of something larger, and that being a part of something larger gives them a lot of opportunities. I mean, we have quite a few associates who over the last 2 years have taken promotions and have either relocated to other markets that we're in. Maybe it's closer to family, or maybe they've always wanted to live in Florida, or whatever it is. So, we spend a lot of time, promoting the local brands to the local market and keeping that brand identity. But among our associates and our suppliers, letting them know that they're part of a larger organization is a pretty key component.
So awesome. So what are your plans for the future as you're looking forward? What are some of the things you guys are looking to do, some big things that are coming your way?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're a very acquisitive company, and so organic growth is a key part of what we're doing, and we think we can grow 8 to 10% organically each year. We think we can grow via acquisition additional 25 to 40% annually.
Mm.
We're not, I'm doing this because, I mean, there's like I said earlier before the call started, when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do post site one, there was a lot of things that probably would have been a lot easier than, rolling up landscape services companies. But the industry's been a really big part of my life, all the way back to being a kid. And, I'm focused on, building a really great company in a great industry. You look around, it's funny because we've had people join us either on the finance side or the HR side, and they come from manufacturing or, medical devices. And all of a sudden they come in the landscape industry and they're like, man, everyone around here is just so nice. Everybody seems to really enjoy what they're doing. And it's just, it's a great industry, and it really is. It really is addictive. I joke that, once you get into the green industry, it's really hard to leave, right? I mean, it's kind of a life sentence. And I'm just trying to, give folks an opportunity to, see some of the success that I've had and that others have had without having to, go from job to job to get that experience. Let's create an environment where everyone can achieve their personal, professional, and financial goals. And that's, I mean, if you think about why people go to work, I mean, that's it. I mean, obviously you've got to eat, right? And you got to provide for your families.
Right.
But if you ask everybody what's more important, or what's the most important, deciding factor as to, where they work, money is usually number three.
Right.
Right. And so from my perspective, if we can do both, personal, professional, all three, personal, professional, and financial goals, and invest in our teams the way, NDS and Site One invested in me, I think we've got a winning recipe.
For sure. And I think one of the things you and I were chatting about this earlier, that people that for sure that are in trees, what, like you were saying to me, the guys and gals that, that are in the tree industry, they love doing trees. And I think it's the same thing for landscape. And I think one of the things that people don't realize is there's a place for lots of people in the green industry. There's lots of different avenues that people can be involved, and everybody really seems to love it no matter where they are in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a clear divide between maintenance and design build folks, right? I mean, if you're a design build guy, the worst thing we can do is put you on a maintenance crew and vice versa. But you're right. I mean, there's, whether it's floriculture or landscape maintenance or design build, hardscape construction. I mean, there's just a lot of different, there's a lot of different stuff that we can create. And I think the thing that I really enjoy about it is we're having a really big impact, like a long-term impact on how people view their home,
Yeah.
and or how our commercial clients view their property. This whole, getting people back in the office, and we just finished a project where we were working, in an outdoor space and in a public in a commercial facility, and they just wanted a better space for their employees to hang out. Right? It's kind of, hey, this is, we want a place where they can have lunch, we want a place where they can hang out, where they can work outside. Because the environment's changing, and that's really cool. And I think if we can put our hands on projects like that and have a lasting impact, I think if you polled 100 people in the industry, that would probably be one of the top 5 reasons why they do what they do.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Well, where can everyone find you? Where can, if they're interested in, your companies, and then possibly talking with you about acquiring them or, doing a business deal with them, where's the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, you can definitely get us on our website. We're at KeyServCo.com, KeyServCo.com. I'm Jeff at KeyServCo.com. So, we're pretty accessible. From our website, you can get to, all of the companies that have joined us. You can get to their websites and, see what they do. I mean, I think the really cool thing is when you look at that, we are covering all aspects of the industry, but not every brand is doing everything, right? And I think that's really cool that we can we can serve our customers that way.
Absolutely. Well, I have really enjoyed speaking with you today. Thank you so much for your time and for just sharing with us what you guys have going on. I think it's really exciting. So
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. I enjoyed our time together, and yeah, it was fun.
absolutely. Well, great. Well, until next time, thanks so much, guys. Check Jeff out at KeyServeCode.com, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Great, thanks.